Who am I? And this is part 2. Now let us learn how we see human beings through Christian glasses. And also we will discover the recipe for true happiness. Yes, we will. We know there are some principles that make our lives better, our life in society better, such as the concepts of human dignity and equality of every human being, such as human rights, such as the sanctity of life, and so on. Good things. All these good things have come from one particular worldview. Can you guess which one? Yes, from Christian worldview. Let us see, what does Christian worldview teach us about who we are? And again, we need to go to the book of Genesis, very beginning. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. This understanding of who we are did not less than created the West, the Western civilization, with all its wonders, with all its blessings, with all the many great things that the entire world appreciates. Now, God's image and likeness, what does that mean? Being created in the image and likeness of God. Biblically speaking, it means that you are God's emissary, His representative, His vice-regent over His creation, a steward of God's creation. That's it. A metaphor with the ambassador is very helpful. You know what ambassadors are? How are they welcomed when they arrive in another country? With honor and respect. Why? Are they so special? No, but because of the country that they represent. They derive their honor and dignity and significance from the country that they represent. And similarly, it is with us, with you. You are created in the image of God, which means you are sent by the triune God as His emissaries, as His ambassadors, which also means that every human being has intrinsic, infinite dignity and worth, and not because of who they are or what they possess or what they have achieved, but because of whom they represent, the triune God. And on the one hand, this is how you should think about yourself. This defines your significance, your worth. And this understanding also makes very important your actions, your life. You cannot take it lightly. On the other hand, this is also how you should think about everyone else. And this view has to shape our attitudes relating to others, even if they do not deserve it, because none of us do. So now, let us read from Genesis 2. Then God Yahweh formed the man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. This is such intimate picture, such an intimacy in the creation story. Everything was created by God speaking, But the creation of man is so different. Our Creator describes himself as a potter, getting his hands dirty, forming humanity out of the dust of the earth, and then breathing the breath of life into our nostrils. It is such an intimate picture. Often people think about this as a naive story. But think about this. That was the most majestic event. That was the moment when the entire humanity was created with incredible affection. We all have come from that one man. And there is nothing wrong with the simplicity of this account. It is our limited imagination that cannot picture the grandeur of what is revealed to us. If only we could, if only, we would be in awe and wonder. And even today, this is how our God sees your creation. This is how important you are to Him. And that is how great His affection is to you. Yes, to you. Body, soul, body and soul. Who am I? Who are we? And there is more in the creation story in Genesis 1 and 2. In the biblical worldview, we are both body and soul, not one or another. Modern evolutionary view would stick with the body alone, and the Eastern views would focus on the soul. And Christian worldview says, both. I am body and soul. You are body and soul. When we die, the two are forcefully ripped apart, separated. Our death is not natural. It is a violent event. But when God the Creator comes to restore His entire creation, we will receive new resurrected bodies. We will be made whole again. And that is our ultimate hope. Now, the secret for happiness, for your happiness. Do you want to know? Do you? Okay, here it comes. And for Christians, this is not such a secret either. It has to do with who we are as human beings, what it means to be a human. And according to God's revelation, we are created to exist, to live in two kinds of relationships. First, with our God, and second, with God's creation in the broadest sense, including. What exactly does that mean? So first, about these vertical relationships. In relationships with our God, we are recipients, on the receiving end. What do we receive? All the most important things in our lives, immaterial things. His wisdom, the truth, or we could say our worldviews, also our identity, God's emissaries. He bestows upon us our significance. He grants us unconditional acceptance. He fills our lives with meaning and purpose and joy and peace and security and so on. All these are given as gifts to everyone who wants to receive them. But how does this happen? Our God is God who speaks, God of conversation. He speaks to us and thus reveals the truth about Himself, about us and this world. He speaks to you and tells you who you are. It is Him who bestows upon us most important identity, created in His image and likeness, as His representative, His ambassador. And not only that, He is the one who determines your worth. As one of my professors used to ask, do you know what is your price? Then know this: Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was ready to give up his life for you, so that you may be his own. And this is a magnificent understanding of who we are. And today people struggle with self-understanding, with self-worth, with self-esteem, whatever we call it. We try to find ways to build it up, be it wealth or fame or achievements, and it does not work that well. But the triune God gives all of that to everyone as his gift. And this is how you are to see yourself and others. And you can learn much more about these topics in Wisdom for Life course at Weisberg Academy. It's certainly worth it. Certainly worth it. Now, about these horizontal relationships. In those we are active givers. Yes, what does that mean? That we are created for many responsibilities, for great mission. The book of Genesis tells us that we are created to continue God's work. But how? By taking on his own given responsibilities, by being fruitful and multiplying, meaning by participating in the creation of life, of the human race, by entering marriage. We are entrusted to exercise wise dominion over God's creation, by taking care of this planet, by studying, by exploring, by working, ordering it, by cultivating it, by keeping it. And these horizontal relationships, they fill our lives with rich meaning. They give us so many places of responsibility where we can serve our loved ones. As children, as siblings, spouses, parents, grandparents, students, employees, employers, entrepreneurs, artists, soldiers, doctors, craftsmen, musicians, citizens, neighbors, and so on and on. God has put so many different people in your lives. He has put us in so many relationships. And he has given us so many gifts and talents and skills and abilities so that we can develop all of them and use them to serve all the people in our lives. And this is God-given formula for true happiness. This is how it works. So simple. When first we receive the most important things from our God as gifts, with grateful and joyful hearts. And second, when we use what we have received to serve all the people in our lives, that's the recipe. That's the recipe for your happiness. If we reject any of these, either vertical or horizontal dimension, if we exclude our Creator from our lives and turn away his wonderful gifts, or if we do not use our gifts and talents and skills and abilities for the sake of others, whatever our motivation may be, we are robbing ourselves of our humanity and of our chances to lead as happy and as fulfilling lives as possible. Something then will be missing. So let us stick to this recipe. Be happy. Be happy. See, what Christian worldview gives us is the most magnificent and the most beautiful view on humanity, and one which leads to our flourishing, which has given us the above mentioned concepts of human rights and dignity of every human being and sanctity of life, certain purposes and meaning and countless other blessings. They all come from this worldview and no other. Receive and enjoy and be grateful.